Hello everybody and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. And the good news is, or good news for lads who just want to watch the match on the telly, the good news is that both the teams are at the stadium, or so we're led to believe by Sky Sports News. Disappointed for the lads who wanted. There was still a few lads trying to get the game cancelled. I understand where they're going with that, but how many games are you going to get cancelled? We can't have every game getting cancelled, can we? And it's a game that I look forward to every season. I'm really looking forward to this game last night, and that's not to say that if we were allowed in the stadium that I would go. If the people are going to be determined, make a determined effort, and they're going to try and hit the Glazers in the pockets, I'm quite prepared not to go. I'm hoping to go to the Europa League final, but that's completely different as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely, completely different. It's the home games, it's not the away games, and it's certainly not cup finals and neutral grounds that make that much difference. It's the tickets for the home games at Old Trafford that will make the bulk of the difference. And I'm prepared to put my efforts into that if that's the way they're going to go with it. But I do want the games to get played. I do want to watch the games. It's my lifeblood. So I think the team news should be out any second, should it not?
Yes, I believe it should.
Let's have a look.
Check these now. Cavani starting, it looks
Cavani
like.
starting, that's good news.
So Henderson in goal.
Hendo in goal, let you write it down, take your time. Hendo, yeah. AWB, let me guess it. I should start doing that regular. Lindelof, yeah.
Yeah.
Bailey,
Yeah.
yeah. Shaw,
Yeah.
McFred, as they say these days.
Yeah.
McFred, Bruno,
Yeah.
Cavani, because you've already told me that.
Yeah.
Pogba probably to the left.
Yeah.
And on the right, I guess Greenwood's played in all three of the last three games, so it's got to be Rashford.
Correct. 11 out of 11.
11 out of
10
11.
out of 10 because I gave you one.
Yeah, you gave me one, yeah.
Josh Harper in the super chat, have another drink on me with a contribution.
Thank you, Josh. Really appreciate it.
Ab16 Ricky, you may disagree with me, but I believe Lindelof is the best centre half we have at the club, and Luke Shaw is the best defender overall. Thoughts?
Decent argument. Luke Shaw's certainly the best defender. I would agree with that. He's the best player out of the back four. As far as centre backs are concerned, they've got different strengths and let's put that on silent. They've got different strengths and different weaknesses, haven't they? Obviously, Maguire's more dominant in the air, stronger, I suppose, in battling for the ball with the opponents. But Lindelof's a cuter passer. Times things a bit better, I think. He's probably a slightly better footballer than Maguire overall. So really, it's a close call. So let's just say that I wouldn't disagree with you.
The Luke Shaw one is similar to your story that you used to say about Martin Buchan.
Very similar. Yeah, very similar. Nearly every time Flex says to me on the fan cam, what's the... Who's your man of the match? I feel like saying to him, do you mean apart from Luke Shaw? Because Luke Shaw's man of the match every week. Do you mean apart from him? That's what I used to say about Martin Buchan in the 70s.
Yeah. Charlie Newey, Pogba and Shaw up against Alexander Arnold.
Yeah.
Andrew Ward, Maguire is the best centre back.
Yeah,
it's
hard to argue with that, but it's also hard to argue against Lindelof. I really believe that.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to choose. Different strengths and different weaknesses. And not a bad partnership. Everybody tells me they're a terrible partnership. They ain't that bad.
Colin Grogan,
Oh, Col!
Got a little crowd watching in Ipswich. Love the show.
Brilliant, Col. Love it. Love it.
QS, Ricky, if Sky Sports gave you a 1-minute TV interview to say anything about MUFC with the players, the coaches and the owners watching, what would you say?
It's a great question, but it's a question that I'd like to have a little bit of time to think about, and obviously it's pretty quick fire, this, isn't it?
Yes.
But what would I say? Let me try and think of something. If I've only got 1 minute to say it, I'd have to give it a real good
Just say to him, make sure you watch the Football Philosophy channel.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Start watching the Football Philosophy channel and do as I say. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Hamza Muse, quick fire. Who's better, Rashford or Greenwood?
Greenwood, I think. I think Greenwood's slightly better. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'm not sure it's close.
You're not sure it's even close?
It's even close, mate.
You think Greenwood's easily better?
Yeah. I do. I think the only thing missing from Greenwood's game for me is the physical side. He just needs time.
Yeah.
He's got all the attributes, to be a top player.
Yeah.
Particularly, by the way,
it's not just strength though, Rick. He gives. He's not cute enough with his passing at times and doesn't play it quickly enough. That's something that you need to understand when you get the ball.
I do think that his decision making is better when he's playing at 9.
Yeah.
When he's playing on the right, you can see that he thinks it's more natural to him when he's playing in that central role than when he's playing on the right. When he's playing on the right, he's like a centre forward on the right.
Yeah.
Thinks about getting his shots off rather than getting to the dead ball line and the ball in the box.
Yeah.
He's still got improvement. He's still got room to improve as a 9. Aside from his physicality, his decision making and stuff like that. But I do see it coming to him more easily in the 9 role than I do in the wide midfield roles.
I agree with that. I definitely agree
whereas
with
Rashford, I'm not sure what his attributes are at all. I don't see what he's supposed to be. He can't dribble with it.
Yeah,
his finishing's poor.
People talk about his dribbling as though it's good. He never seems to have it under control, does he?
Not dribble it for toffee. He's not in control of where it goes, what the outcome is. He bumbles through the odd one, but that's because he tries so often. It will come off every now and again. And every now and again he pulls off one that looks really silky and smooth, but that's not class. If you're trying it a lot and the odd one comes off,
yeah.
And finishing's poor. I don't see what the attributes are. So for me, I think it's clear to see what the attributes are with Greenwood, and I don't think it is with Rashford. But that's my thoughts on it. Dylan Henry, what were your thoughts on Cantona and Ahmad? Bit of a broad question. What are your thoughts on Cantona?
Well, let's take Eric first. When we first signed him, obviously I'd seen him play a few times for Leeds, but I could never have imagined what he was going to bring to our club. Could never have imagined it, and my thoughts on him, I'll forever be thankful to him. And he was a fantastic player, great skills. But we were just talking about understanding the role of a striker, not just a striker, any player, about passing it at the right moment and not holding on to it too long. And sometimes we've got one or two players who hold on to it a little bit too long and still find a reasonable pass at the end of it. Obviously, sometimes they don't, sometimes they lose it. But even if you find a reasonable pass at the end of it, if you're a little bit sharper with your passing, the play can flow better. It can flow so much better. And Cantona had that clever player, as well as having loads of silky skills and goal scorer, you name it. So Eric, fantastic.
Just as we come on to Ahmad, by the way.
Yeah.
JD has said, after having a decent look at Ahmad now, do you think he should have a run in the main 11? So I can answer a couple on Ahmad here, I suppose, in the same answer.
Yes, Ahmad. I was very, very impressed with him. And like I always say about every player, like for example, I think we touched on this. We were talking about the Leicester game in the Cup the other day, where Pogba came in for his first game, where he came on as a sub at half time as our left-sided attacker in Milan, and then they used him in the same role against Leicester in the Cup, but changed the left back, and it didn't help him. He would have played better. Now it's the same when you not just with the players that are close to you, but all the team. It's even more important with the full team. But Ahmad's getting a game the other night and doing more than okay, doing well. When there's so many changes in the team, so many changes. I think Ahmad, the way he played the other night, if he was playing, I'd have no problem with this game tonight. No problem at all with Ahmad being on the right. And he's playing with Cavani, he's playing with Pogba, playing with Bruno, who's not one of my favourites, but he's still a regular first team player. And obviously he'd have Wan-Bissaka backing him up instead of Williams. I mean, Wan-Bissaka's distribution lets him down at times, but compared to Williams,
it's like having Cafu there.
It's like having Cafu there compared to Williams, yeah. So Ahmad, over the moon with him, and I'd have no problem starting him in a full strength team, no problem at all, and then see how he does.
Yeah. Bradley Grech says, good evening, Ricky.
Evening, mate.
Thoughts on Elanga on Tuesday? Personally, I liked his composure on the ball and simplicity in his game.
Yeah.
Do you see any future in him?
Yeah, obviously it's only one game. I've seen plenty of players for one game and then they've been completely different to what I thought they were in the first game. He did try to beat a man a couple of times and from what I can remember, he failed on each occasion. I haven't re-watched it again. That's why I've not done a rating show on it. The games have been coming too thick and fast. But he did try and beat his man a couple of times, which is no problem with a winger trying to beat your man on the odd occasion. No problem at all. Just not every time. But he couldn't do it. He was not quite strong enough, got shrugged off it a couple of times. But overall, his game was the type of player that I like. And I thought he did all right. And I want to see more of him. I was much more impressed with Ahmad. Much more impressed. But Elanga, certainly decent as well. But that's more about how impressed I was with Ahmad, by the way.
Yeah, it's
no slight on Elanga.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was impressed with Elanga.
Yeah.
I agree with Bradley. I thought he was really composed on the ball. I thought he tried to do the simple thing. I can remember definitely one of the occasions really tight to the touchline where he kind of had two men and he tried to just kind of slide it past him really tight to the touchline and I think we got a throw in from it, but before deciding to try and take that man, he was trying to find the pass and there just wasn't really one on. Until he took that decision to take him on. And I like that. Obviously, I don't mind you trying to take a player on.
He wanted to pass it, couldn't pass it, so then he's got to try and get out of trouble.
Correct.
And he didn't have a pass on as soon as he got it. He strikes me as that type of player. If there was a pass on when he first got it, he'd have used that pass. So it wasn't his fault that he ended up in a little bit of trouble, but still got throwing out of it. Still got throwing out of it, which is excellent.
On first showing, I'm really impressed. But as you said, I think sometimes you can see that with a player where he comes in and tries to do it simple because he knows it's his first game. I just hope that that's how his game is generally. If he plays like that all the time, I think you're in with the shout of having a good player on your hands there. McSauce, hi Ricky. One day I would like to see a front three of Marshall, Pogba and James once they're all fit. Thoughts?
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I'd absolutely love to see it. Obviously, I like Cavani at 9. A lot of people talking about how great Cavani's playing now, which he's scoring plenty of goals and playing well. But he's often playing with Pogba as one of the front players. That wasn't happening before Martial got injured. It wasn't happening. He was playing with Rashford and Greenwood as his front attacking players. And I remember Cavani playing. I mean, you must remember it. I remember Cavani playing with Greenwood a couple of times. You've got vivid memories of him throwing his arms in the air. Why didn't that ball come in the box? That's what he's having to put up with Mason on one flank and Marcus on the other. Mason in particular is improving on that, to be fair. But Cavani wasn't scoring goals when he was playing with those two. Now that Pogba's in the lineup, he's starting to score goals. Some people are telling me it's because I saw one person say, no, it's because the rest of the team have got used to Cavani and his runs. Rubbish. It's just that we are now playing better football with Pogba playing in the team, so there's more chances being created.
Sean Brennan, hi Ricky. Do you think that Shaw is a better player now than Evra was?
Evra was a fantastic player. The difficult question, so difficult. I mean, when you're watching the players that you see today, you love the players, or maybe you don't like certain players, and then comparing them to players of the past. I suppose it's easy comparing the ones who you think are poor to players of the past, but players that are good. Luke Shaw's that good. I don't think would have been much weaker if he'd have been playing when Everett was playing. But Everett as well was a fantastic left back, and so was Dennis Irwin before him. So we've been blessed with left backs. When Dennis Irwin was in the team, you hardly noticed a difference if he missed a game, and Phil Neville played at left back either. Yeah. Don't disrespect how good he was, Phil Neville. So we've had some quality full-backs over the years, and Luke Shaw's up there with them. But I wouldn't like to say that it was better or worse than Patrice Evra. Sometimes your memory plays tricks on you as well. But Evra's won the title. How many title medals has he got? Don't forget, though, Luke Shaw's playing in a team that can't win titles.
Yes.
If Luke Shaw was in that team, we might well have won those titles, and he won the Champions League ever, didn't he? He might have won all those trophies, sure, if he was playing in that team. And one player can make a big difference to a team, but how much of a difference? If Evra was playing in this team, would we have any more points? Probably not.
It's really unfair to measure players by the trophy hall when they're playing in different areas.
Yeah, in different teams.
Exactly, like a Seamus Coleman, for example, one of the best right backs I've seen.
Fantastic player, just seen him now, He's played still.
No trophies to show for it.
Yeah, because he's been playing for Everton.
Yeah.
Fantastic player, We're good enough to play for us, hands down.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Hands down. Probably still is now.
Yeah.
Right now.
The amount of games that he played for Everton in a period where we had Raphael or Fabio playing at right back.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of shape.
Miles better.
Yeah.
Absolutely miles better.
Declan Garside says, "Hi Rick, do you think Bruno and De Beer can play in the same team?"
Bruno and
De Beer.
Which is De Beer now? Is he a Ajax player or?
Yeah, I think it's someone who we're linked with at the moment.
Is it?
De Beer, but obviously,
I'm not
you
even.
need to see more of De Beer.
Yeah, I can't answer that. I don't even know who he is. Sorry. Football philosophy channel. I don't even know who he is.
Ask me one on football.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. De Beer. Not sure who he is.
Rowan Duckrull says, are you going to watch a bit of Leipzig versus Dortmund in the final? What are your thoughts on us being linked with Sancho again?
We seem to be linked with him all the time, don't we? I don't know what the asking price is now, but I've just seen Ahmad playing on the right wing. Everybody knows that I rate Dan James. I'm not saying Dan James is as good as Sancho. There's a lot of people on Twitter say Rick the Red said Dan James is better than Sancho. I've not seen enough of Sancho, but he's obviously a good player, and I've seen him play for England a couple of times. I was quite impressed. But Ahmad's looking good. I mean, how much better can you be? And you know, I'd be quite happy if Ahmad and Dan James could share the role. Quite happy. And Greenwood as a backup. Mind you, how many forwards can you keep? If we've got Cavani signed a new contract.
Yes.
So if we've got Cavani and Martial to share the number 9 role, because Martial will play plenty of games.
Tell you what, I did just to bring up the Ahmad and Alanga conversation again. Both of them played like wide midfielders.
Yes.
I thought the other day.
The shape was
kept
better.
The shape well, didn't they?
Yeah, the shape was better. The proper wingers.
Proper midfield. They think like
Rashford's a wide attacking player.
Yes.
Greenwood, when he plays wide, is an attacking player. He's not a winger.
The centre forward's doing a job
I preferred Alanga and I preferred Ahmad. You know, if we were playing a tough game, that team wasn't great for me the other night. We could have beat Leicester if we had. I know Greenwood scored a great goal, but he's not Anthony Martial and he's not Cavani. If we just had Martial and Cavani playing at 9, and if the defence was a bit stronger, Matic was fine, Van der Beek, not quite as what I could expect from Van der Beek, but certainly decent. Matic, Van der Beek, Juan Mata, and both the wide players, keeping the shape right. Those 5 players who don't play much were all fine, all of them. And then Greenwood, not quite strong enough for me at number 9. If we'd have just had Martial or Cavani at 9 and then a stronger defence, we could have won that game. And then you'd have seen better. You'd have seen better in Ahmad and you'd have seen better in Alanga.
Andrew Ward says, do you think that Bruno has been playing a bit more how you want him to play recently?
Yes, 100%. 100%. He plays better when Pogba's on the left. I always use this phrase, football's infectious.
Yes.
When you're playing with a player who gets hold of it and passes it to you, you know, you sometimes, it's just how it works. You see how somebody's playing. I'm not sure it's a conscious thing. I'm not sure that when Bruno's playing with Pogba, I don't think he sees Pogba get hold of it and pass it and actually thinks in words in his head, I'm going to do that what he's just done. But for some reason, football is infectious. You start moving the ball around and the other players want to start moving the ball around. And he is playing better. Funnily enough, by the way, he's stopped. I heard the commentator say the other day that he's not scored since Valentine's Day. When's Valentine's Day in the league? He's not scored in the league since 14th of February. So February, March, April, May, 3 months. He's not scored a Premier other than penalties. Sorry. Are we going to? Don't need to discuss this, do we? I know some people say, well, someone's got to take the pens and his goal scoring tally's fantastic whether he's taking pens or not. All that's perfectly true, and he's got a fantastic penalty taking record. You can't knock it, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant having a reliable penalty taker. Not many, very, very few penalty takers will have, what has he got, 21 out of 22 strikes, fantastic record. So all that's fantastic. On the other side of the coin, there's no point denying that somebody who takes penalties has got an advantage over somebody who doesn't take penalties when you're looking at the goal scoring records.
Correct.
So he's not scored a goal in open play in the league for 3 months, and yet he's playing better. I think he's playing better. So it just shows you about when I was arguing things with people. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's actually playing better, but the goals have dried up.
Yes.
Maybe the goals have dried up because he's playing better. He's not taking stupid shots on so often.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was just going to say that when you speak about obviously the big improvement there is Rashford Rashford being replaced by Pogba on the left hand side for me.
Yeah.
And you said that it seems to have affected Pogba's game, Bruno's game. Sorry, at 10. Do you think there's an element of? You said it's like contagious, isn't it? The football there. Do you think sometimes playing at number 10, you get frustrated by other players in your team giving it away so sloppily? And then you kind of take more responsibility on to think, I've got to try and force it, and then it backfires on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're playing with crap, you end up going that way, don't you? It's contagious both ways.
Yeah. I've been asked quite a few questions on it, and it stopped in the last 2 or 3 shows. But I've been asked quite a few questions about players that I played with, and I mentioned Keith James's name the other week. Because people were asking me about good players that I played with. Only an amateur player, but an absolutely brilliant footballer. And I can actually, in this I'm 62 now. This is probably 40 years ago. I was probably in my early 20s. I remember playing in a game with him when we had a player in the team who didn't often play and wasn't very good. And he was in completely wide open space in a normal situation where you would expect Keith to pass him that ball, and Keith didn't pass it him, and he turned in field and got tackled and lost the ball, and I'd give him a telling off. Why don't you just give it? The lad was called Colin, and he's not with us anymore, God rest his soul. I said, why don't you just give it to Colin then? And he went to me, I'm not giving it him. I said, what do you mean you're not giving it him? You just lost it yourself.
Yeah.
Just do the right thing. You've got to do the right thing. Yes. Don't worry about what your teammate's going to do with it. If he's in space, you've got to do the right thing. There's no point turning around you losing it just because you thought he would have lost it if you'd have passed it to him.
Yes.
Do the right thing.
Thomas Omar, great point, Rick. I think he's referring to the penalty thing, I think.
Yeah.
Van der Beek a better right winger than Rashford, says Pabs 20.
Van der Beek. Is that a question?
More of just a statement, I think.
Look, he's not really. Neither of them are wingers, are they? So if you're saying would he do a better job there, I think Van der Beek's just a better footballer. His touch is better. His sharpness of where to find the short passes is better. So I would sooner have Van der Beek there. Yeah, definitely.
Mako Rizzo says, Ricky, I feel like Twanzebe looks more assertive at the back than Bailey. Would have liked to see him start.
Yeah, it's a tough ask. Like I say, I haven't re-watched it again, and I've seen them both enough times. I'm not overly convinced by either of them. Twanzebe had a great game. Everybody reverts back to the game in Paris against PSG, and he had a blinding game. But then he played, was it in Turkey? And he was he was pretty poor. So I've seen him have 1 or 2 games that are not that clever, and I don't think he was on the one viewing. It's a bit difficult to choose between Bailey and Twanzebe the other night, but I don't think either of them were particularly good.
Josh Harper, Rick, do you feel as detached from football as me with all the money in the game? I just see football as about who can pay the money. That's always been the case to a degree, but now more than ever.
Yeah, look, when I was a young man, there were stories, I never saw it myself, but there was plenty of stories about players who used to get the bus, the normal bus where you pay, well in them days it'd have been about 5p, you used to pay on the bus, and there's stories in London of players who used to get the tube to the match and things like that. Do you know what I mean? It's gone, and what's gone from them days to these days, they were the players. The players were approachable. Not that the players are not approachable now if you happen to see them. I just mean they were more easily accessible, if you like, by fans and the public. And they were, I think I was speaking about this with someone the other week. It's still a hell of a lot of money if you're on 4 or 5 times the average working wage. 4 or 5 times. It's still a lot of money, right? So the players in those days, when I was a young lad, they used to earn about 4 or 5 times the average working man. What is it these days for the top players? It's like 200 or 300 times as much, isn't it? More, yeah. It's just unbelievable what's happened in football in that period of time. What would Bobby Charlton be worth now? And I think he was on about, when I was watching Bobby Charlton, I think he was on about 400 quid a week. What would he be worth now?
John Joe Kerwin, good evening, Rick. Just saying that I'm loving the new Instagram and can't wait for the live stream at the cup final at the weekend.
Nice one, mate. I'm going to have a practice. We might have a practice at half time, eh?
Yeah.
What I do, I'll say something about this game at half time live on Instagram.
He's also said, and should I bring back questions on ex-teammates? Callum Shivers, Rick, what's the one position you want to strengthen in the team?
If I had the choice for one position to be strengthened, it'd definitely be midfield. I would like a better player than Fred next to McTominay. Matic should do fine, by the way, but he's obviously decided it can't be Matic. So I'd buy Declan Rice or Ndidi. Somebody asked me this today, someone else. I've been watching quite a few of Chelsea's games. I know he didn't play last night, and might be no coincidence that Chelsea got beat last night, but Kante didn't play. But I've seen Kante playing these last few games for Chelsea, and he's unbelievable. But I'm not suggesting Chelsea would sell Kante to us, but somebody like Ndidi.
You might have been able to sign him while they were under Lampard's management.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now different managers come in, you got no chance.
You got no chance now. Yeah.
That's kind of happened with us a couple of times, hasn't it? Where you've lost players that proper managers wouldn't be letting your club get rid of.
Yeah, definitely.
Painful.
It's painful.
So watch the players leave your club.
Yeah. We might have had a chance of signing Kante if Lampard was still in charge.
Lampard was there, Manowski says in the super chat, thank you Manowski, painful how Rashford starts ahead of Greenwood and Ahmad.
Yeah, I mean Greenwood couldn't really start tonight. I'd have been shocked. He's the only player that played two. Not only is he the only player who played against Leicester and Villa, but he also happened to have played on Thursday against Roma. So he started all 3 games so far. It would have been 4 games in 7 days. So I'm not surprised Greenwood's not starting.
Jazz win the super chat again. Rick, Maguire and Lindelof are our best centre backs. I think we should improve in our midfield rather than a right wing. Get 2 midfielders for the pivot. I suppose that's as
I definitely think we need a midfield. Everyone's talking about Sancho. Look, I won't be devastated if they signed Sancho. Of course I wouldn't. But Ahmad looks like a player to me.
Yeah.
Ahmad looks like a player. What we're going to do? Block his through path into the team. I don't see the reason.
No.
I don't see the reason. And Dan, I like Dan James on the right as well. So if you've got Ahmad and he looks like he can play, and Dan James is back up, because you wouldn't have Sancho as back up, would you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He wouldn't want to come as back up.
Yeah.
If we had Ahmad on the right and Sancho's back up, get ourselves. As long as Ahmad can play like it looks like he can play, like I said, I'd like to see him a few more times, but he certainly looks the part.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, somebody else instead of Fred.
Interesting for
really.
you to be to pro such a youngster, by the way.
I like the look of him in a big way.
Yeah. It's not about the age, is it? It never is.
No.
The age doesn't come into it.
Not at all.
If you're good enough, you're old enough, or you're young enough.
I'm not saying he's better than Juan Mata, by the way. I'm
Yes.
not saying he's better than Juan Mata. but
you've got Juan Mata, you've got James,
and we've got Matic, and they're not. But I'm looking at players now who are not playing. I've just said that about Matic, haven't I? I'd be quite happy with McTominay and Matic, but he's not going down that route now. So he needs to sign somebody else if he thinks it's going to be Fred. Fred's not the answer.
Yeah. Ricky, did you AB16? Ricky, did you rate Varela at United? I did. I thought it was class.
Yeah, I liked him. I've used this phrase. 1 or 2 people have said to me, "Oh, I like that phrase." Outcome bias. I've probably said it once or twice before. I don't know if I've said it on this particular show, but Varela got skinned by Coutinho at Old Trafford in the Europa League game, and Coutinho went infield from the wing and chipped it over the keeper and scored. And he did get skinned, but it was by Coutinho. It wasn't by any old Tom, Dick or Harry. Coutinho skinned him, drew the keeper and chipped it into the net. Had Coutinho missed, these things get forgotten about. I call it outcome bias.
Yeah.
You're biased as to what actually happened there just because they scored.
Yes.
If he'd have shot into the side netting, or if De Gea would have saved his shot, it would have been forgotten about. You know, he'd have got a bit of a rollicking, be more careful, you need to be sharper and all that. He never kicks a ball for United again. They subbed him at half-time and he never played again. And I thought he was a good player and he's having a decent career.
Yeah.
He's having a decent career. He's a neat and tidy player.
Yeah. Red Olsen says, thoughts on Cavani similarities to Stapleton?
Ooh. We've just had one about comparing new players to old players, haven't we?
Yeah.
I can see the aerial side of it being similar. I've just seen a stat on the TV there. There's only, I think it was Calvert-Lewin scored more headers in the Premier League than Cavani so far this season, and only by one. He scored 6 headers in the Premier League. Cavani, he's only played. I don't know how many games he's played, but he said on Sky before that I think it was Calvert-Lewin had scored 1 more header than him, and he's second. So I can see the aerial presence. Stapleton was a top player, but I wouldn't say they were similar. He was more of a target man, Stapleton, and I see Cavani as somebody who gets around the pitch more. And
we spoke about this recently, didn't we? That Cavani's misunderstood because he happens to be tall. For me, I see him more like a player that wants to play on the last man, like a fox in the box type player. It's about his movement, his sharpness. He just happens to be tall as well, and sometimes gets labelled as a target man because of that. I think his ideal partner would be someone that takes the attention of the centre halves away from him. So bigger, stronger player next to him would suit Cavani for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's more of a he's a goal poacher, isn't he, to start with? Yeah.
Rowan says, if you could have a beer with any one of Mata, Matic, Marshall and James, who would it be?
Mata, Matic, Marshall and James. Matic. Probably Nemanja. He looks like a man's man to me.
Yeah.
He'd probably have a good. He'd probably drink me under. Yeah, he might be able to keep up with me. Yeah. We better make it one more. It's nearly 10 to.
JT says, "Hi Rick.
Hi JT.
What is it about Dan James you rate that you think the fan base fails to see?"
Unbelievably, 95% of the fan base think that he hasn't got any football intelligence. The number of times I see him get hold of the ball on the wing and assess the situation where he's got As I said about other players, I'm not just changing this for. I actually said it about Alanga earlier, so I'm not just making this up for Dan James. I said about Alanga earlier, I've got no problem with you taking your fullback on once or twice in a game. You've got to test him out, see if you've got the beating of him. Got no problem with that. And I actually said that Alanga couldn't beat his man the other night. A couple of times he tried and didn't do it. So I've got no problem with that with any winger. I don't like somebody trying it time after time and being unsuccessful mainly, which I think Marcus does a lot. So Dan James, he gets into situations and he seems to choose the right moment to try and take his fullback on. Sometimes you get the ball, you've got to assess the situation quickly, so your fullback's there, but there's a bit of cover on. So you might throw your body that way, it throws the fullback out a little bit, then he checks back and uses his fullback or passes it in field. People won't even be watching it, and even people, if you're in the pub watching it, you'll be having a drink of your beer. It's just dead normal flow of the play that people are not interested in. But he keeps it so simple and does the right thing so often that it just is easy. It is easy. But people don't realise that too many players don't take the easy option often enough.
Yes.
Just don't take the easy option often enough and lose the ball. So Dan James, to me, does the right thing far more often. And obviously, speaking about team shape, you must have heard me asking me the question about Dan James, and you've obviously heard me speak about it before. You must have heard me say it's about the team shape. The team shape is better when you've got proper wingers. Even the other night against Leicester, make no mistake, it was the back four that was a bit dodgy the other night. The midfield was fine. Leicester are a top side. They beat us 3-1 and drawn with us once. So they only beat us 2-1, so we give them a right game the other night. They were more or less at full strength. Johnny Evans was missing. So it's about the team shape. The team shape was fine the other night with Ahmad and Alanga. And it's so important, and Dan James keeps the team shape better.
Yeah.
So that's and don't forget the simple football as well.
Yeah. Obviously, I heard it. I'm responding to a couple of people in the chats here as well. So one of them, TJ, saying how many matches DJ have won for us, how many times he impacted outcomes of the match. TJ, you need to watch some more of the channel, mate. You've got, you're not getting the philosophy. It's not about.
It's not about who creates the goals. I'll tell you what. We'll finish with this. I'll finish with this. Anybody who watches me when I'm on the United stand, we haven't done a Sunday night show. The football's been hectic, hasn't it? Back and forward, different nights. Whenever we play on a Sunday, we don't do the Sunday night show on the United stand. Occasionally we do it on Monday, but we've just been playing too many games, so we've not done it. But on the Sunday night show, which was sometimes on a Monday, I was banging onto him forever and a day that we needed a better player on the left. We need a better player on the left. Marcus he might have, and they were all saying to me, he scores goals, he makes goals, he scores goals, and all that. And I said, we need somebody to play on the wing who's better. We need somebody who's better. And a better player doesn't have to be a player who's scoring goals and making goals. It just has to be a better player. We need the team to play better. Now then, it's a small sample size. It really is. I know that it's a small sample size. Here's an analogy that I often use. Let's pretend you, the viewer, are the manager of Manchester United and the assistant manager or one of the coaches. So a few weeks ago, I was saying to all the people on the United stand, we need a better player there, we need to start playing better football, and we will score more goals. We have now used Pogba in 3 of the last 5 league games in that position. We've beat Spurs 3-1, we beat Burnley 3-1, we've beat Villa 3-1. We didn't use him. This is just league games. It's the 5 league games since he played in that position. The first time he played in that position in the league was against Spurs. We didn't use him against Brighton, where we won 2-1. It's still a win, I know, I get that, but it's not as good as 3-1. And a 0-0 draw against Leeds. Now, I know it's a small sample size, so I'm not saying I told you so. I'm really not saying don't forget, you're the manager and the assistant manager. I'm not saying I told you so, but I am saying it certainly started all right, hasn't it? We're playing better. The player who's playing in that position is not scoring goals. I don't think he's scored in the league in them games that he's played. He's not scoring goals. He's not even, maybe not even making the goals. But the team's playing better and we are scoring more goals. That's what I said would happen, and it is happening. Now, like I say, doesn't prove anything over 5 games, but I would be saying to you, please stick with it. Let's just see if it does carry on in this vein. And he's playing wide on the left tonight. I always get my excuses in, but it's genuine. It's proper genuine. We are playing Liverpool. If Liverpool are on it tonight, we could lose. We could lose if we had Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo playing for us. So we could still lose. But so far, so good.
Wrap it up?
Yeah, wrap it up. I hope you've enjoyed that show. If you have enjoyed it, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.